Hey fans, I'm Scott Warris. It is time for our basketball preview. We're talking men's basketball hoops. The season mere hours away with seventh-year head coach Aaron Onenson. The offseason always goes fast. We say it well. How was this offseason for you? Big picture. Any wild trips or anything like that? Did you get away?
Yeah, first off, thanks for having me on. It's an honor to be a part of this. And we did take a nice family trip.
Good.
We went out to Arizona. And I'd say probably the highlight for my son and I was we got to watch Wemby's first NBA preseason game. So that was probably a lifetime highlight for him and I.
Is he the real deal?
He is.
Let the record show.
He
Aaron
is the real
Onenson
deal.
going, put it down. Victor Wembanyama, the real deal. Okay, basketball offseason. What was your focus? I mean, as you and your staff talk in the offseason, summer months, how did you guys want to get better from a championship team a year ago?
Yeah, our focus primarily was on getting stronger. I think that was one of the growth areas that we targeted early on is we needed to improve just our overall strength in our power. Number two, we wanted to be more conceptual offensively. I think there were times throughout the season, especially early on, and then if you look at the kind of the second half of our conference tournament championship, we were a little bit too robotic. So we focused a lot more this season as a coaching staff on how can we learn some new teaching methodologies to help our guys become more conceptual based so that they're not looking to me on the sideline looking for a play call and they're just playing the game and playing more free.
Can you give us an example of that? Like, what does that mean?
That means I study late at night a lot of different NBA college basketball teams. You know, we run a hybrid offense of a lot of different types of college and NBA organizations, and we just morph a lot of different concepts into the WLC fast and free way.
Okay. I need to ask you this question. I don't mean to invoke any pain with this question, but in reality, the way last season ended, as difficult as it was in the moment, and probably still now and always will be, how do you hope your team uses that as a catalyst this year?
I think we want to look and learn and grow from every situation. You know, we try and be grateful for every circumstance that happens to us. Obviously, we all want to win. Two great teams played. I think we played phenomenal in the first half. Hats off to St. Norbert. I thought they did a great job making some changes, executing their game plan, and it was just unfortunate that we came up a little short. However, I think hopefully sometimes when you have those tough life lesson moments, you can learn, grow, and hopefully become stronger because of some of those difficult moments.
You have so many guys coming back, including 4 starters, and we'll get to individual personnel in a moment. So in training camp these last several weeks, have you noticed those veterans being fueled by the last time they played a game? Have you picked up on those little accent points?
I think I just noticed overall we're more confident.
Sure.
I'm not going to assume that we're a better basketball team yet than we were a year ago, but we brought back 20 returners. That's a lot of consistency. That's a lot of familiarity to who we are. And I've noticed a lot of our guys have had some growth moments, especially on the defensive end, where I think if we look from a macro perspective, I think we're a little bit farther ahead defensively than we were a year ago. Offensively, I would probably categorize us in about the same area.
But, as I've heard other coaches say, tell me if you disagree, if you had to pick one area to be ahead of the other, you don't mind having the defense ahead of the offense at this point. Is that fair to say?
Very fair to say. At the end of the day, I'm just hoping we can be 1 point higher than our opponent this weekend. Yeah. So there are times we've had teams that are very good offensively and we're a little bit behind defensively. And this year, I think it's the exact opposite of the spectrum. So whatever it takes for us to win, I'm going to be okay with.
No, absolutely, absolutely. Let's get into some of the personnel, and you already alluded to it. I mean, you've got 20 guys coming back who wore the jersey last year. You have 4 starters, including your top 3 scorers. It's a luxury, certainly. Does it allow you in camp to start further along than you otherwise would if you had fewer returners or a less experienced team? Is it kind of like a training camp 301 class more than a 101 because everybody is kind of starting further ahead in the game?
I think we always, if you're referring to a class example, we always start at 101. We don't want to assume anything. Every team's a new team. Every year's a new year. However, with this group, we've been able to advance a little bit quicker than typically we have been in previous years, just because there's so much familiarity. And we've adjusted a few things offensively and defensively. We talked about the offense earlier, but I think we've made a few good defensive adjustments too that I think are going to help us be more successful from an analytics perspective.
Ryan Breckel, an All-American last year, first time men's basketball I had an All-American in over 2 decades. How have you challenged Ryan to be even better, as special as he was? How have you asked him and urged him to be even better than he was?
That's a great question. I think it goes back to overall program philosophy. We're just trying to be the best version of ourselves every day. I don't want to look too far ahead. I don't want to think about February. That gets me a little overwhelmed just thinking about it. So just trying to have Ryan focus on being the best version of himself every day, and then offensively to take what the defense gives him. There's going to be games where he might be single-teamed, and we're going to take advantage of whatever reads that we've been trying to train him to make. But he knows very well that if he gets double-teamed, there are 4 other guys on the court for a reason, and it's his job, and he does a great job of this. He's a consummate team player to get the other guys in the spots where they can have success.
Grayson Getz, another first-team All-Conference honoree last year. Similar question regarding Grayson. And how have you looked at his game and maybe seen there are areas where he can get even better?
Yeah, I think the cool part of all of our guys is I can't find one guy in our program right now who hasn't gotten better. I think 1 through 20, every guy has taken a step forward in their game. And I'm excited to kind of hopefully adapt and change with them, because I think they all have new and better skill sets than what they had a year ago.
Do you find yourself learning, growing, getting better as a coach year after year, as long as you have been in this business, based on your team?
Yeah, I think the older I've gotten, the more I realize I don't really know, and I don't have all the answers. So I think that's where the curiosity comes out. As you get older, you're always trying to seek new solutions in new ways, and I think that's the cool part about being a basketball coach is there's no one way to do it, and we are constantly trying to evolve and change what we do to hopefully make our team better.
You kind of alluded to it before. How often will you watch, let's say on a given weeknight when you get home and this little off time you have, will you watch an NBA game or another college game and take notes, or just maybe mental notes if nothing else, and pick up on tendencies and think, we could try that sidelines out of bounds, or, well, that's an interesting set they're running. Is that always something you're doing whenever a game is on?
Yeah, that's the downfall of it is, case in point, last night I went from practice to my son's 7th grade practice, where I've learned a lot about how to coach by coaching my 7th grade son as well. And then typical night, get the kids to bed, and I'm back on, turning on our practice film, or I have NBA League Pass, so I'm watching the NBA games. I watched college games last night as well, so it's not uncommon for me to have a little bit lack of sleep during the season, because we're always trying to figure out how we can learn and grow. We have a great assistant coaching staff as well, who is always throwing ideas out at us, and I always say no idea is a dumb idea. So we're always looking for new plays, new sets, new methodologies to help our team get better.
I'm glad you mentioned the coaching staff, because not only do you bring back 20 players who wore the jersey last year and 4 starters, but you've got continuity in the coaching staff as well, which is important. I mean, I think that is, you laugh, but I think that's something that fans don't even give a second thought to, about the infrastructure of a coaching staff and being able to have that continuity from one year to the next. It's a luxury that a lot of staffs don't have, especially at the D3 level, where guys are moving around year after year.
Huge blessing. I think this is my 7th year here, and I think this is actually the first time I've had the same coaching staff. Now, we've been extremely blessed from the standpoint of a lot of the former assistants have gone on to get better Division I, II, III assistant coaching jobs, head coaching jobs. So my job is to help them get to the next level. But selfishly, yes, I'm very excited to have Evan, Donnie, and Andrew back for another year.
Give us just for, again, fans watching this, we're doing our basketball preview here with Aaron Onenson. So for the Warrior fans, they're going to be out at the Time of Grace Center all season long, and they see you and they know you. But then there's those other guys sitting next to you in the suits. How do you divvy up the responsibilities? Can you just kind of give us a little thumbnail about the responsibilities of each of your assistants so fans are kind of
Yeah,
clued
I
in
mean,
on
they
that?
all do such a phenomenal job, and I think we all take part in the whole as far as offensively, defensively, special teams. But primarily, Evan Sizemore and Donnie Robbins are very defensive focused. We're always trying to figure out what's the next layer, what's the next step we can take to get our team to the next level, or simple day-to-day stuff. What did we do well or not do well, and what do we need to emphasize, work on, drill for the following day? Most WLC Warrior fans know Andrew Brugink was the Conference Player of the Year and Wisconsin State Player of the Year, so he has a lot of accolades behind his name. Genius offensive mind, so it's not uncommon for him to be sending over sets from the Euro League that he watched late last night to implement in our team. So we have a great balance, a great mix of guys who really help us be great.
I want to ask you one more question about the personnel. We talked about, I mean, we will over the course of the season here on WLCsports.com feature a lot of the players through various interviews, post-game interviews and things like that. So we can't go through the entire roster and all the key guys. We talked about Breckel, we talked about Getz. Is there anybody maybe who had a secondary role last year, was a reserve last year, and you're expecting bigger things of this season, or maybe somebody who's really popped in camp, so to speak?
Yeah, I think the notion of our group this year is going to be the whole is greater than some of its parts. We've talked a lot about how we have a lot of capable players in our program. I think the Golden State Warriors have kind of tabbed the strength in numbers philosophy, right, where anybody can go off on a given night. And honestly, that's what I've seen in some of our practices and early season scrimmages and exhibitions is you just don't know which guy is going to have a great performance. And I think that's the cool part about our group right now is this Friday, Saturday, I actually don't know who's going to be the best player on the court. And we have some really good players in our program, and every given practice, it could be a different guy.
Let's talk real quickly about the schedule this season, Coach. It's a challenging one, but your team is certainly up for it, as we've talked about the way that they're formed this year. You got two WIAC teams coming here to campus, including your alma mater. Talk about the non-conference schedule that you have constructed to get your guys as ready as possible for the NAC.
Yeah, I think it's going to be huge. I think it's going to be a great test for us. We've had some success in conference, as everybody knows, but for us to take that next step on a national scale, we can't just play some of the best. We actually need to beat the best now. So we've had a last year case in point, we lost a lot of close games to a number of teams who played in the NCAA tournament, but close isn't good enough anymore. So we need to find a way to go into those gyms and those facilities and win the game now.
Yeah, Stevens Point, by the way, that was the two. Stevens Point and La Crosse, the alma mater, were the two teams that I were referencing there. So Friday night, 7 o'clock, you open up on the road in Minnesota against Martin Luther College. How would you characterize the NAC this year? I mean, if you look at if you like the preseason polls, and we can debate that another time, it's you and St. Norbert. Warriors are the preseason pick to win the league, and then there's a bit of a gap, but for everybody else is listed in there. How would you describe the NAC if somebody came up to you and said, what is this Northern Athletics Collegiate Conference?
I compare it to every other big-time Division I conference across college basketball. You have to be ready every single night. The difference between the top team and the bottom team might be 2 or 3 possessions in a game. If you look at our games last year, rarely were we ever involved in a blowout. We were fortunate to go 14-3. We have some great veteran coaches in our league, and every night's a grind, and you have to be ready to battle. You have to be ready to fight. You have to be ready to do the little things that equate to winning. So I can't find, honestly, a team on our schedule in conference, and I'm like, oh, yeah, that's going to be a win. I'm nervous about every game, in a good way.
In a good way, absolutely. All right, before we send it out, Coach, I'll have you look into that camera right there. What is the message you want to give the WLC Warriors fans here with the season about to tip off? Why should they come out and watch your team vie for another championship?
We're going to play fast. We're going to have fun. You know, our goal this year is to, again, even play faster and create more sense of excitement on the defensive end. So, honestly, we're hoping for another great year that we can pack the stands for the conference tournament championship at our place. And our goal this year is to get over the hump and get to the NCAA tournament.
All right. 7th year coach, Aaron
Appreciate
Onneson.
it.
Warriors at MLC Friday night, 7 o'clock. All the links available at WLCsports.com. The home opener Saturday, November 18th against Lawrence. We want to see you there. Thanks for watching.